Welcome to another edition of the DanVanDam and Friends podcast, where news only comes up when I think it actually sounds kind of cool and therefore I want to talk about it. So, okay, the first topic at hand, the main topic at hand, is going to be about repetitive nature and as well as a receding hairline when it comes to video gaming. And I'll get into the receding hairline in quite a moment here with the first video game I'm about to talk about. So, alright, I think I would say it healthily, of course, we're going to be the Rocky, and this is going to be meat we're going to be punching on to get big and strong, we become the big, ultimate fighter that we're going to become in the ring. But first, Resident Evil 4 HD is going to be on PC. So apparently Capcom's trying to test the waters and see how old us motherfuckers actually are. Now, with this, they're going to be putting it on PC, which it was inevitable, of course. They're going to be putting it 60 frames per second. It's going to look crisp, sharper, and it's going to be the same fucking game, probably the same fucking bugs, but hey, it's going to be in HD. It's going to have clear visuals, not that fog shit. And it's going to probably have 60 frames per second like I just mentioned prior. So, hey, 60 frames per second. I'm going to keep on saying that for like an hour. I think that's the only thing they ever pointed out in this trailer I watched before, too. So, the game itself is good. I'm not going to say it's bad. I'm not going to say it's horrid. It is like the other ones. And it kind of is like the other ones, but it's a little bit more on rails. I mean, yes, they're trying to meet the demand of both fans of those who like to move around, shoot, and, have a shooting gallery, as well as have this somewhat of a hybrid of an adventure game and action-ish. I like the elements that they threw in that, of course. So that's why I kind of liked it. So, Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 4 are actually some of my favorites out of the series. I mean, Part 1 was pretty darn good. It told a good storyline. Cheesy as fuck on the PlayStation 1 and on the PC. But, hey, what can you do? Jill sandwiches for everybody. So, Capcom, of course, said this around December 27th, 2013, that the core demographic for Resident Evil is the fans are too fucking old. Around 30s to 40s, of course. Now, of course, they're stating this, saying that, a lot of the fans are probably old now, probably in wheelchairs, and we don't give a shit about the series anymore, which is not true. A lot of fans are wanting the same classic nature to remember from the older games. That's what they've been telling Capcom for years now. Probably past that, I'd say about 13 years into the life, or at least the lore of Resident Evil, they were still complaining about that, or starting to complain about that after they played Resident Evil 5, and what the fuck is this shit? Though Resident Evil 5 I thought was actually quite nice. I mean, I liked that one too. It was not that bad. I mean, yes, some of the shit was overzealous. I didn't think most of it was really required as a storyline, but for the gameplay-wise, at least, it was actually pretty fun. I was enjoying it. That's all I can generally say. I mean, yes, I see the points people did not like it. I didn't like those points either, but it was still a passable game. So, Resident Evil 6 came out, on the other hand, fuck that shit. I just put my hands up in the air and walked away. So, and then, so much so, I never even fucking really wanted to play it. I looked at it and went, oh, hell no, and just never touched it after trying it once. So, Capcom, I'm assuming, is testing the waters for gamers on the PC anyway for Resident Evil. Are we going to see HD remakes of the older games? Well, who knows? Let's hope so, and maybe they'll make Resident Evil games that are actually worth a damn, like the older ones. But this old school element of being able to aim your gun and, shifting left to right in a four-directional motion is kind of dated, and I think that's why they kind of did the Resident Evil 4 approach. I understand people want this idea, this classic alone-in-the-dark style gameplay mechanic, but honestly, we need to sort of modernize it, at the same time make it so it's really tight and good like the other games. So, I mean, if they are going to do the same old shit, which is really the topic of today for my rambles here, then they should try to make a next Resident Evil game where it actually feels like the older games, but at the same time appeal to the new demographic, or at least more newer fans. And at the same time, make it so that way the veterans of Resident Evil smile at the game and go, this is a good goddamn game. Because, hell, people who play Resident Evil 4 at first didn't really bitch at it at all. Hell, it got a lot of rewards for being what it was. It was a good hybrid, good mixture of elements. It wasn't perfect, it was very buggy. That's all I can generally say about that game. So, a lot of people say the same old shit about Call of Duty, which, again, it is the same fucking game, slightly updated graphics, and who the fuck's gotta tell the difference? So, a formula that supposedly works, that attracts players and people alike, that's what sells things, right? Well, guess what? We're getting Ultra Street Fighter 4. This is old news, I know. Everyone's already known this already by now, and they've probably rolled their fucking eyes 3 dozen times. And there's going to be people who are going to buy this goddamn thing anyway, spite themselves. But then point at Call of Duty and say it's the same shit every fucking year. Let's look at Street Fighter 4. Same shit every fucking year. Additionally, and of course granted, they add new characters to the mix. Whoopee shit. Same shit every year. And that's my point for this. It's like, you know, it's sort of hypocritical to say that that game is a tired, beaten horse. When you look at Street Fighter 4, it's the same tired, beaten horse. Heck, let's look at the backlog of Street Fighter, shall we? Street Fighter 2, well, it's like fantastic beat-em-up. Heck, Street Fighter 3 Alpha was actually pretty good. I'm sorry, Street Fighter Alpha, brain fart, was pretty good too. But at the same time, it was really... Then 4 came out, you know, a lot of folks modernized, liked it, they enjoyed it, they played the shit out of it. They still play the shit out of it with their buddies on Xbox Live or PC, the arcade edition, or of course on the PlayStation 3. Sure, cool, whatever. But at the same time, that's the same beaten shit. You know, I mean, I've seen so many versions so far of Street Fighter 4, I don't want to see it ever again. I've even seen a game called Super Strip Fighter 4, which is a parody. They kind of skipped 3, I guess, with that entire lore, and they went to it was a Super Strip Fighter 2, I believe it was, then 4. They just said, fuck the odd numbers, we're going even here. But again, it's just a really beaten horse, I think, with Street Fighter. I'm not saying the game's bad, you know, because Street Fighter 4 is pretty decent, but at the same time, we don't need that many fucking ports. The same thing with Marvel vs. Capcom 3. They just beat that damn horse to death. It's like that, you know, they wonder why the sales are going or where the sales are going. It's like they're not going anywhere. They're diminishing slightly over time because people already have the game already. You're just giving them extra characters they could just pay for via the $40 you're probably making to pay for this new version of the game. It's like, what the fuck's the point? People already own those characters by now. They already bought the DLC. Put it to bed. Please. Make Street Fighter 5 or something. I don't know. Make a naked Street Fighter 5 game. I'll fucking play it. I'm a horny little bastard. Anyway, I digress. So, ESO, this is a question to everyone here who is listening to this. Do fans really care about this new game coming out? And this is, of course, called Elder Scrolls Online, which is pretty much a call-out to folks for MMOs and as well as the Elder Scrolls lore. Now, I played some of it personally. I'm not going to say too much. I'm not going to ruin it. I'm not going past that NDA thing, but past that point, does anyone really care about this MMO? Or is it just going to be another skull in front of the big monsters cave called the World of Warcraft cave? With the lore, the realm, and everything else, all the fanboys, all the fans, and all the players who play World of Warcraft are all sitting in that fucking cave with shotguns pointing out towards the cave where all the light and everything else is at pointing towards, and they're aiming that fucking everything bit of arsenal they have at that cave entrance. The answer for me is, quite frankly, I don't think it's going to push anything new boundaries-wise when it comes to, or anything innovative boundary-wise when it comes to an MMO. Are people going to play it because despite the fact it's called Elder Scrolls Online? Yes, they're going to play the shit out of it. It's going to be an MMO for the new gen consoles. It's going to be an MMO for the PC. So, hell, all the folks who like Elder Scrolls are just going to play it because of the namesake. Is the game going to be excellent? Probably not. It's going to be okay. It's going to be passable. It's going to be like that at least a couple million at first, and it's going to diminish into 700 and probably be a buy to play, and then before we know it, it's going to get closed down. Who the hell knows? It could probably be very successful. It could probably be up on the mountains next to World... Again, I don't even really play fucking World of Warcraft, but I know how popular the goddamn game is. It's like, Jesus Christ. You know, I have friends who leave the game, come back to the game, leave the game, come back to the game, leave the game, come back to the game, leave the game, come back... Consistently. It's because out of all the MMOs nowadays, it's like there's one game that's on a shelf right now. It's called World of Warcraft, that it's very hard to make people change their minds about playing it anymore. Because they just won't. If they want an MMO, they stick to that. It's just like buying a carton of milk every other week. When you run out of milk, you buy a new carton of milk. MMOs, same difference. It's at that comfort level. I mean, some people have these niche MMOs, such as Perfect World International, even though that one's quite successful and has a lot of transactional sales, which, of course, put the company up on that bracket of generic MMOs past that game. So, I look at that shelf, And it's really, you have a small handful, at least 5 of my hand that I can name out loud, that can really be memorable. Such as Guild Wars 1. It was the buy-to-play motive that, of course, was quite successful. It does not have nearly as, that standpoint of World of Warcraft. Again, I'm going to say World of Warcraft to your eardrums explode, but you get the point, right? It was, of course, World of Warcraft, Elder Scrolls. I'm kidding. It's actually going to be, I would say, on a good day, of course, EverQuest 1. And these are the games that were the ones that broke ground here. I'm not talking about games that are going to break ground. But, of course, Guild Wars 1, Guild Wars 2, because that one is still widely played. It's very popular still. EverQuest 1 and 2, I'm going to put those in the same bracket because they sort of, a mixed bag of nuts there. World of Warcraft, which is going to be number 3. Number 4, of course, is going to be... Who am I kidding? Is actually only 3 so far I can actually name. So I've kind of shot myself in the foot with the list. But again, I guess we can kind of count them as 4 if we want to count EverQuest 1 and 2. But, fuck it. We'll just make a random numbers that really don't matter. Whose line is it anyway? Anyway, so... Hope you guys enjoyed this little podcast, little blurt, a little bit of a ramble of sorts. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you have any questions, if you have any responses, please be sure to leave them down below. I will answer them via next video, so take it easy, touch my nipples, and see you later.